Hi, my name is Isaac David Bregman. I'm the pastor of the Christian Hearts Christian Fellowship online church. It is an online church. Basically, when you watch the videos, you are actually attending a church service when you watch these videos. So, right now, I'm trying to tell y'all about some talents I found that I had. Now, if you ever hear me tell a story, I will let you know if it is false or if it is real. But I learned that I had a talent for telling made-up stories. Basically, it'd be like, say, if God was to tell you a made-up story, and the point to the story was that He had a message to give you through the made-up story, and He wanted you to know it was false. It'd be like if God said, this story is not true, but I want you to hear it anyway because the made-up story, the message behind it is real, but the story is not real. And I found out I was good at telling what I call Christian yarns. Like, here's one, and I do know what I'm about to tell you never happened, but the point is real. But the story is false, so don't take me for real. There was a guy going down the road, and next thing you know, it was on a Monday. He was walking down the road. And as a matter of fact, as he was walking down the road, some young guy that they used to call a punk in the 80s, well, they still have him in the 90s, but he walked by, bumped into the guy, cussed him out. I mean, cussed him out. And so the next day, come Tuesday, the same guy that got cussed at, which is the main character in the story, he was driving down the road, and that same guy that bumped into him and cussed him on Monday walked across the street and got hit by a car. Well, the one that did the hitting did not want to do nothing about it because they didn't want to get in trouble, but yet this guy recognized the one that was watching this happen. He said, hey, that's the same guy yesterday that cussed me out when I was walking on the sidewalk. So he gets out his cell phone, he calls 911, tells them what's going on, and while he's waiting on them to come, he waits there and he prays. He prays and he prays and he prays and he prays. They get there. He demands, can I follow y'all to the hospital? And so the ambulance driver finally agreed and said, okay, we're going to tell every flashing light in the world that if there's a vehicle following us at breakneck speed, it is, you. I don't even know why you'd want to follow us, but okay. So he follows them all the way to the hospital, gets to the hospital, demands that he knows everything that goes on with this young man. And he sits in the waiting room praying. So then, not only that, but they finally told this guy, said, look, this young man, he's okay now, but he's very belligerent. He's rude. I don't understand why you would even want to be here. He said, I've got a good reason to be here. So finally, he walked into the room where the young man was, looked the young man dead in the eyeballs, and this young man out of nowhere said, not you! I just bumped into you yesterday, cussed you out, and here you are now, in my hospital room. And what am I doing in the hospital in the first place? Don't you remember getting hit by a car? Yeah, I got hit by a car. Well, that's why you're in the hospital. Yeah, but how did I get to the hospital is what I'm trying to get at. Young man, you need to shut up and let me tell you something. A car hit you as you was walking across the road. I saw the accident from my car, and that guy that hit you wasn't even willing to call nobody about it because they didn't want to get in trouble. So I saw the accident. I called 911. I stayed for the ambulance to come and prayed for you. Then I turned around and asked the ambulance driver, could I follow them all the way to the hospital? He said yes, but he didn't understand why. So they told every flashing light there was not to be trying to come after me because I was following them. Then I demanded that they tell me your progress in the hospital, and I was in the waiting room praying for you. Now, what does that tell you right there? And he looked at the guy and said, but yesterday, you remember what happened yesterday? He's like, I know what happened yesterday. And son, I forgive you. And he's like, but how can you forgive me knowing I was rude to you? Look. Did you ever hear of a particular character that stretched out his legs and arms and took the abuse for our sins? You ever hear about this guy? You ever hear about a guy that got betrayed by one of his own with a kiss? And he took the abuse because he knew that in the end, his death would be not only his resurrection, but also a new life for us. Did you ever hear about that guy? He said, yeah, his name was Jesus Christ. He's like, yeah, and did you realize that through every little action you took, positive or negative, he was there? He saw everything you did. And he saw what you did to me yesterday. He saw that, and he wasn't too happy with it. But he was more happy with what I did to you today than what you did to me yesterday. But yet, he took everything that's happened all today until the end of today, and he said, I forgive this young man. I forgive him. And you know what? Think about it. Do you have many people who would stand up for you and actually do for you what I did? Would anybody do it? He's like, well, no. Everybody gives up on me. I mean, I was picked on at one time, and then I didn't like it when I got picked on, but then I saw what kind of abilities it gave the guy that did the picking, and I thought it was wonderful. Then I said, well, if that's how he got his respect, no, young man. He didn't get respect, he got fear. That fear that you saw was what you were calling respect. And it wasn't really no respect at all. It was just, it looked like respect to a guy like you, but it was basically, do you remember what that guy done to you? And you remember how it made you feel? That is what you saw on the other people's faces too, on their actions. The same thing that happened to you happened to them. So what you're calling respect is basically them acting like you. So you're telling me that what I thought was his respect was basically the other people he bullied going through the same emotions I was. Yep. And you're putting out this attitude like you think that, the world owes you something. More like, the more truth to it is, you owe God your heart and soul, young man. You owe God everything. You owe God the ability to say, look, I want you to give me your heart and soul. I mean, you ought to think there is a God, because if it weren't a God, how did I do for you what I did? I mean, I could have just left you there. That guy could have hit you, could have drove off, and it's like it was meant to happen. It was meant for me to be there when you had your accident. Because if I wasn't there, you'd been left there and no telling who would have caught you. Somebody else could have probably caught you after they almost run over you too, because they wouldn't have seen you there. Think about it, young man. There is a God. God put you on this earth. God put me in this position to watch what happened to you and to help you. I mean, you think about it. If you think that it's just happened as a coincidence, then you need to think about something. You need to think about something. God told me today, He said, buy another Bible. I said, well, Lord, I've got a bunch of Bibles already. Why do I need another one? He said, don't ask questions. Buy another Bible today. I said, okay. So I bought another Bible today. And I didn't realize it. I said, and not only that, He told me to carry this Bible on me. He said that this is a Bible that you're willing to get rid of to somebody. And you know what? I didn't understand it. I didn't understand this message about I'm supposed to buy a Bible and I'm supposed to be willing to give it to somebody. Then it dawned on me when I saw you, I'm holding this Bible in my hand and I'm supposed to give it to you. But me? Why me? You know what I did to you yesterday? Yeah, and you know what they say, turn the other cheek. Learn that there is a forgiving and a forgetting. You may never forget what's going on, but you will forget in the sense of, I forget the anger, as in I won't there's a forgiveness called letting go, and there's a forgiveness called understanding, and then there's a forgetting called I won't forget the anger I may or may not have had, but I also forget it in a form of it. I remember it, but I don't remember it to the point of wanting to bring it up again. So forgetting does not exactly mean you forget what happened. You just don't, you forget in the sense of I remember it happening, but I forget in the sense of I remember what happened, but I don't bring certain things up because certain things, God says let it go. Let it go. Don't bring up anger. Don't bring up jealousy. Don't bring up nothing evil in this situation. So the point is, can I ask you one question? Would you be willing for me to come back, visit you, and visit you, and visit you, until you get out of the hospital and possibly even go to your house and visit you? He's like, but what? I'm nervous. I'm scared because this isn't something that happens to me every day. Some guy just does this for me after all I've been through with him. What all you've been through with me was you bumped into me and cussed me out. Yes, I know that was rude. I know it was an accident. We bumped into each other walking. It was one of my walking days, I understand. And you, I don't know if you drive or walk or what, but you walk a lot. I know that for a fact because I see you. And if I hadn't have done this, where would you be? So he said, well, if you're willing to do this, I'm willing to see what happens here. So he visits this young man constantly to the point of where the young man gets so used to it, this young man says, I like this guy's attitude. I like this guy's attitude. He starts liking this guy's attitude. So the young man said, look, sir, I got to tell you something. Is there any way possible for me to get an attitude like yours? Because I like it. I've got to the point where I like your attitude, and I want to know, is there a way for me to have that same attitude? He said, sure, there's a way for you to get this attitude. Are you willing to sell out? Sell out? No. Whoa, before you get started, I'm talking about sell out to the Lord. Are you willing to sell your whole soul to the Lord? Well, what's it cost? To sell out, you sell your body to the Lord with your heart, your soul, and your mind. Would you be willing to give God every organ you have? Say, you can have my heart, you can have my soul, you can have my brain, you can have everything of mine, God. Would you be willing to? He said, well, is that the way to get that attitude you got? Yes, but it's not just to get the attitude, but you have to believe it too. Can you make yourself believe this and know that it is true? And he said, yep, I can do this. So he said, okay, got a question for you. Next Sunday, are you willing to go to a place called church? He said, but I'm in the hospital. Yeah, but they told me, the doctors told me, that today you're getting out of this hospital. Why come they never told me? Because I came here before they could tell you about it. And they told me you're getting out of the hospital today. He said, sure, okay. So he asked his doctor, did you really tell this guy that I'm getting out of the hospital? And the guy said, yep, I did. So he got out of the hospital. And so he said, look, he said, I don't understand what's going on here, but I like this. And I wish this had happened to me a long time ago. If I'd have just done what I'm supposed to, if I'd have done what I'm doing now, I would have got to this point, but I didn't know that this is how you get there. So then, next thing you know, early one morning, see, these two people had done exchange phone numbers, and this young man, he was one of these guys that were young. He lived on his